Welcome to I and the Oracle. This episode is New Habit.
We'd like to begin with the following idea. We remind you that a new habit is in order, a very important new habit in your behavior. Until such time as you make this a part of your day-to-day personality, we will always be willing to remind you to implement and incorporate this notion in your behavior, because it will assist you in making the changes that you wish to make in your lives on a day-to-day pragmatic level. And so, we remind you that this new habit is simply the habit of not automatically nor immediately, no matter how the situation looks, assigning or ascribing a negative connotation to it. To give yourself a moment to look at what is going on and to learn to see it as a neutral circumstance before you see it as a negative or positive or anything in particular. Particularly in those circumstances where you may have been taught to, more often than not, automatically assign a negative connotation, a bad feeling, if you wish to put it that way. Even more importantly, can you take the time to incorporate and instill this new habit of neutrality within you so that you can get more out of the situation? Learn how to change and transform the situation in a positive way, rather than simply automatically assuming it must be negative because of how it looks based on how you have been taught. Now, of course, we are not talking about ignoring your feelings, glossing them over, covering them up, pushing them down, suppressing them. By all means, if feelings come up, you should pay attention to them. But the idea is to understand why you have them. They are not automatic, and certain situations do not necessarily need to automatically generate those feelings in you. But if they are there, then you must pay attention to the fact why they are there. And generally, they are there because you have been taught definitions about the situation that make those feelings seem to be the only logical reaction to have, when in fact they are not. Remember, all situations are neutral, and if you learn to balance yourself and look at them first and foremost, no matter what it may be, and in remaining neutral, at least for a few moments, you give yourself the opportunity to learn to assign new meanings to it that will be relevant for you, regardless of what anyone else's intention in the circumstance may have been. Remaining relatively neutral at first will give you an opportunity to gain greater insight, more depth and understanding as how the circumstances came together, what they are based on in terms of the definitions that are going on in you and others in society, and give you an opportunity to learn to replace those definitions in such a manner so that in doing so, and in assigning new perspective and new meaning to the circumstance, you can glean from it new impact, new effect, new meaning, new feeling, and learn how any situation can serve you in a positive and constructive and creative and expansive way, rather than continuing to live your lives assuming that certain situations can only be capable of generating negativity in your reality. You are the one that is generating the reality you experience, and even though someone else may be involved, it is your perception and your definition of it that determines the effect you personally extract from it in your life. Learn the new habit of taking a moment to pause and not automatically assign a negative meaning to circumstances, but give yourself the opportunity to see it as simply a neutral set of props, a neutral set of equations, a neutral circumstance that has come together for a variety of reasons, and looking at it as a nexus point, you can then begin to assign new meaning by exploring the definitions that are within you. Remember that these meanings, these feelings, these reactions to circumstances do not come with the circumstance. No circumstance carries a built-in meaning. The meaning, the feelings, the reactions you have are already built within your consciousness, based on the definitions of life you have been taught. Learn the new habit of letting them go and not automatically assuming that those definitions are definitions of an absolute reality. For there is no reality except the definition you give it, and that's what reality is. So learn the new habit. It will serve you day to day in practical and pragmatic ways. And we will remind you as many times as necessary for it to become part of your daily behavior and personality. And when it is, you will see a difference in your lives. And you will see that you have more ability to determine exactly in what direction your lives ought to go and what it is you are capable of believing that is possible for you. And also simultaneously, in looking at circumstances neutrally, you will become more capable of understanding how it is you may be of assistance to others who may be caught up in their own definitions and unable to understand that it is their own definitions that have made the circumstance seem so ironclad when in fact it is made of nothing but tissue paper definitions. Learn that reality is the only product of your strongest beliefs, and that is the only thing that makes it seem so solid and so immutable in that sense. Transmute these things by changing your definitions, by changing your awareness. Learn that reality is the only product of your strongest beliefs. It does not necessarily mean that you have to see cosmic consequence in everything that happens to you, though on one level, of course, there always is. It will give you insight, like what you would call an X-ray vision, into the nature and structure of synchronicity and circumstance, to understand how circumstance hinges upon the strongest definitions you have been taught to believe are true. We thank you for allowing us to share this notion, this perspective with you this day.
Continue optimizing your human experience by subscribing to I Am the Oracle. Just click the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching I Am the Oracle web series.